Football is so back, boys, and so are we. Welcome back to week 2 of the podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Pat Jamroth. What's up, dude?
We feeling good, baby. 1-0. What a matchup. Happy to be back. We lost a co-host, but we'll keep the train rolling, the two of us, the three of us.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but let's welcome in Daffy, our loyal producer.
What up, boys?
And as Pat alluded to, we have lost our permanent host, Daryl Brown. He will take a recurring guest host role this year. Hate to see it, but time commitments became an issue, so we're going to keep it rolling here with the three of us. We're going to start this week off with biggest surprises from week 1, boys. It was always interesting to get going with week 1 and just really see, you know, what you've been hearing all offseason. And like it says right here, surprise, motherfucker. What do you got, Ross?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dr. Shee's Silver Knights. I think we expected them to have a pretty good team, but if you told me that he had 20 combined points between Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones, and he still put up, 132.5 points and absolutely dominated the Dim Dogs, I would have been shocked. Thielen had a big game. Lockett had a big game. I think Sheehan's been kind of a basement dweller for the past couple of years. Obviously, the first one to ever run in the clown suit. So I think this was the biggest surprise for me. You saw these two wideouts who maybe went a little under the radar in the draft really produce for Sheehan. And I think he's got a pretty solid squad, and he had some other wideouts on the bench do well. So the Sheehans get my biggest surprise of week 1.
I like that. Yeah, I was going to say Lockett and Thielen going around the turn. I think it was 4-5, right? Yeah, 4-5. So he got them, was pumped about it. I was like, I like both of them, but neither of them are like that sexy of picks. But obviously week 1, both turned out well. I'm going to go a different route with my surprise. I'm going to talk NFL a little bit. I think obviously the Packers were a big surprise for a lot of people. They lost, 38-3. Saints looked really good, but keep in mind the Saints beat the Bucks 38-3 last year, and the Bucks went on to win the Super Bowl. And everything that happened with the Packers, I think they'll be all right. I think they'll turn it around. The team I don't know if they'll be able to turn it around is the Atlanta Falcons. They look like absolute ass cheeks. I don't know. They had Cordell Patterson as their main guy pretty much. Mike Davis, huge disappointment for Daffy over there. Pitts, had some nice plays, but nothing special. That offense looked so bland. So, a lot of people high on Ridley, Pitts, a lot of sleeper picks on, Russell Gage, Zacchaeus, some of these guys, but I don't know. And then the running backs too. That might just be a wasteland besides Ridley and maybe Pitts. So that was a big surprise for me. I know I personally had a couple of props, had them in a couple of parlays. They were a big disappointment.
Yeah, for sure. And the craziest part is I want to say the first 2 drives, they got deep into the red zone, and then we didn't see them again on red zone on offense. So like you said, I'm not high on the Falcons. I can see them having a top 5, if not top 3 draft pick heading into next year.
For sure. All right, let's get into matchups. Let's run through the recaps. All right, so
yeah, I feel like okay, go ahead.
I'll take this one, but now with just 2, I feel like we can kind of just go back and forth. But yeah, like you said, with Sheehan, obviously didn't get much out of Cook and Jones. Cook had a pretty good day, but between the two of them, 20, not great, but still got the job done. Russ Wilson looking great. His wide receivers, Kittle's going to be solid. I don't know if Kenny G is going to be that solid flex guy, but like you said, he's got bench options. So a great week and really would have beaten him with half the points. So what do you think about Dimmer's side? Obviously Rodgers was a huge disappointment, but the rest of the team, not too hot either.
Are the Dogs who we thought they were? Like, I think he got a lot of flack heading into week 1, and then he throws up an absolute stinker, 66. I was cracking up to myself when he's like, you won't get that with Lockett ever again. And it's like, you take Lockett off that, and Sheehan still beats Dim by 40+ points. So tough showing for the Dogs. We'll see. I got them this week. I'm expecting some fight in them to come back hot, but I don't know if that roster is going to do it for him this year.
Yeah, we'll talk to Dimmer later, so we won't. I got some things to say about it, but we'll save it for when we have him on. Let's jump to the next one.
Oof.
The Rockers. What do you think, Dappy?
It was a tough week. You know, my boys, especially Amari, like starting off strong. They kept me in it all day. I had hope, but in the end, just Herbert, the late switch back to Herbert. I mean, I thought the stack would do me well, but it ended up being the death of me.
Yeah.
I think the craziest part about this matchup was how quiet of a 23.2 fantasy points Christian McCaffrey got. Like, he's just an absolute fantasy machine. The guy didn't get in the end zone. And I heard somewhere that that's like the most points a running back's gotten without getting in the end zone since he did it before. So he's a PPR machine. He had like 9 catches, 90 yards, even more carries. If he stays on the field, he's a walk-in high teens, low 20s every single week. He's just an absolute stud.
Yeah, no, for sure. The one thing here I think that'll be interesting to look out for is D. Henry. Obviously, that Titans offense looks not great. Hopefully, it's just obviously Chandler Jones and the defense was terrific. So hopefully, it was just a flash in the pan and Henry can turn it around. But he had 9 rushing yards at halftime.
Yeah.
But I think both these teams looking like solid competitors heading into week 2 here.
My biggest question leaving this matchup is, who does Dap throw his marbles into at the QB position? It seems like he's trying to trade one of them. You want to say it's probably he's trying to trade Hurts because he drafted Herbert so high, but maybe Hurts ends up being the better option. He looked real good in that offense. I know it was the Falcons, but he does have that potential to run, and Herbert did have a tough matchup, but you got to wonder where Dap's head's at with the QB position. And if it was me, I'd probably do a wait and see for a couple more weeks before I move one of them. But I guess he's trying to strike while the iron's hot.
I mean,
the classic. Go ahead, Dap.
I mean, the one thing I was just thinking this week is like Washington's supposed to have one of the best secondaries, and he didn't get much in the end zone, but he still threw for over 300 yards against supposedly the best secondary / defense in the league. So
I was just going to say it's the cloud. We've seen it a lot. We saw last year with Kirchhoff, Wilson, and Newton, and Sandman having Stafford and whoever else he had picked up, and Dappy even with Brady, and I think Breeze last year. Those 2 quarterback situations. Who do you start? It's often is the toughest start-sit decision at the end of the day on Sunday. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch out for Dappy and probably some other teams here down the stretch. The tears. This one got close, man. Waller didn't. It seemed like at first he had like 1 catch with 7 targets. They're trying to force him the ball. Oh man, not looking good. And then by the end of the day, he'd still racked up those points.
Yeah, I didn't quite see the end of it, but waking up and seeing 3 points, I think that was his nightmare going into the matchup. But I got a lot to say about the Sandman. The guy talks like he's in the top tier of this league. He's not proved it once. And then week 1, he starts someone who's inactive, clearly inactive for an hour. He was texting me, why didn't you let me know? It's like, I'm not focusing on your guys. You got Odell coming back from ACL surgery. You got to be aware. Devontae Parker gets in there. That's an easy win. And he doesn't start his 4th round guy in Chase Edmonds, which, I mean, if you're going to invest that early in a draft, I feel like you start them week 1, and which wasn't that difficult of a matchup against Tennessee. So, I mean, Sandman can say all he wants about, oh, well, he'll be the last one laughing. But, man, if he misses playoffs by a game or anything like that later in the season, he will be haunted by this terrible decision.
I mean, who's not looking at their lineup 30 minutes before the start of week 1?
Exactly. I mean, it was the afternoon game, but still, it's just like I had Saquon going. It's like I needed to confirm, but I had an option for him. Like you gotta be ready for something like that. I know there wasn't a lot of reports of him probably not playing, but I don't know. That's just something you got to check. And clearly, people knew. Like people said it with who we were watching with. I heard them wrong, and I thought they said Odell was in, but wow, what an absolute blunder.
Yeah, me and you were watching it together, Ross, and I knew that he was out, but then I went to check fantasy because like we were talking about it at right when 4 o'clock games were starting, and we were like, oh yeah, he's out. And then I checked fantasy just to see more who Trev had put in rather than to see if Odell was still in, and I was absolutely shocked to see Odell still in, especially with all the talk, like you said, of beforehand with Trev, especially to Lane specifically, and then just not even to have a lineup set. So I feel good for Lane, honestly. It's nice to see especially everything that was said on the pod. I said some stuff myself, but I think you attacked him the most, Ross, and so it's gotta feel good. Gotta feel good for him to get that dub.
I think if Lane gets to the playoffs, Trevor owes me half of that $100 that I owe Lane. But I love what Swift did, given they were down and they were kind of just dumping the ball off. But it's the Lions. You got to expect that all year. And I think Swift's a nice receiving back, and he looked shifty on that touchdown. So I think stock up a little bit on DeAndre Swift there. And then I don't know if we're going to get into waiver pickups later, but I love the Mitchell pickup. The fact that Lane got him at number 2, like C-Mac just sleeping at the wheel. Like that could be a top 10 pickup for the whole season. And C-Mac was just sitting in the position, but he felt like, I got to stay with my Ravens guys. But that's a little off topic. But yeah, it was one of the lowest scoring matchups as our commish predicted on the podcast. But Lane sneaks it out, and he's 1-0. And if
I said 95-85, that was pretty close.
Yeah. But if you look deeper, 0.72 out of his QB, like 95 basically from everyone but your QB is a pretty solid week in this league. So maybe Lane's got a better team than most of us thought, and we'll see how he can manage it going the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, for sure. If Hunt and Swift can keep it up, I like this team a lot. All right, let's jump to the next one. The Trippas. There's always a consistent team. We talked about it last week, always near the top, and he came out firing this week. His whole team showed up pretty well, but I do question whether I think this – I don't know. I just felt like Miles Sanders, is he going to be throwing up 15? Dave Montgomery looks good, but Tyreek Hill is not going to score a 75-yard bomb each week. I don't know. I think there's holes in this team, but obviously a good week from Kirch. And then C-Mac, 2-time defending champ. I think everyone's rooting against him, but decent performance, but tough to beat 132.7, that's for sure.
Yeah, top scorer of the week. And Kirch, you got to tip the cap off. Every year he puts out a team, and he's always competing for highest score. And Tyreek Hill, he just does it. Like I don't know if Kirch was projected to lose at any point, but he was definitely not projected for highest score. And then Tyreek catches that 70-yarder, and boom, he's right back there contending for the top spot of the week. I do have to say, looking into C-Mac's team, I kind of like his running back depth. And I thought I was looking into it and expecting he was going to get Mitchell as well. And I'm like, wow, he's going to have 6 pretty good running backs. Najee had a pretty poor fantasy game, but I saw that he was on the field for 100% of the snaps. So he's clearly their guy in Pittsburgh, and that's pretty big. Jacobs, I'm not completely sold on. He got 2 TDs, but not a lot of yards. But yeah, C-Mac 115. That's a tough loss to swallow. I guess he wasn't too close, and we'll get into the next one. Couple tough L's for the people who put up some big-ish numbers, not like crazy big, but 115, you feel like you're competing for a victory with that. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah. Surprised you didn't go after Mitchell, even with the running back depth. Agreed with you there. Man, this one hurts still.
What a ride that was.
Great battle. Absolutely great battle.
So I think Kupp had like 1 point at halftime with my defense, obviously expecting them to lose some of the second half. I think I had a solid 15, 17 point lead. And then all of a sudden Kupp scores that long touchdown. Then Kupp scores again, and then they call it back. And D Brown was texting me, and I think it was 3rd and goal, and they went to commercial. And I was like, I need a Woods TD here. Like McVay is going to draw one up for him. And with the paint in the end zone too, I thought he was out of bounds. So it played with me, but he really tapped his feet in, and it was an awesome win. Always a battle when we get together. I think last year, week 1, it was like a 1-point game. This one, less than 5. So it was a matchup. And even when we looked at it heading into the afternoon, like you were down big, but you kept saying, I'm not done. And I was like, oh, I know you're not done. And then Mahomes puts up 33, Kamara. I think if you look at it all, if Packers keep that game close, you win this matchup easy, because Kamara didn't really play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter, I don't think, except maybe if he played in like that. I think they had the ball or the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, so maybe he played then. But that's what I was looking for. I knew Mahomes he was at like 20, and I was like, he's gonna put up points with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter, but I need more out of Kamara and get this within a few points so that Cup doesn't need to outscore Woods, your kicker, and D by 10 points or something crazy. And he almost did it. But overall, looking big picture, I like my team. Most are getting hurt early was obviously tough. Looking at that flex spot all Sunday morning, and then when Sermon was announced out, I was like, well, I got to start Mostert. But obviously, I had Henderson and then Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, Deebo Samuel, all sitting on my bench that would have won it for me. But you can't predict injuries. Obviously, him out for the year is tough. But I like my depth going forward, and we got Sam in this week, so we're looking to send him to 0-2. Not to get too ahead of ourselves, but
yeah. And how I look at it, a guy like Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, like sure, later in the season, like I will rag on someone for benching a player or starting someone who goes off, but I just feel like week one, you really go with the dogs you drafted early, and Mostert, early draft pick, great matchup. Like you said, Sermon out, like that felt like a no-brainer. So sure, you can go and look at the box score and be like, oh, Caleb could have won 4 or 5 different ways, but it's like, do you really feel comfortable starting Corey Davis in his first game? And Robbie Anderson caught 1 pass, I believe, on like 3 targets. So I think it was a battle, and we'll definitely be seeing the Sundays again if I had to guess.
Yep. Great outing out of Joe Mixon too, I'll say, on your team. Like that was huge. Got to be good to see for you. And he looked good all over the field, blocking, running, receiving. So huge.
Another stat. Yeah. I'm liking Joe. The podcast I listened to said he broke 8 tackles or 8 missed tackles, which was top in the league. So he got a crazy amount of carries. Can't expect him to have 29 every week, but that was big, especially with Saquon throwing up a dud.
Yeah. Hey, Dap, let's go back to Dimmer's matchup and welcome him in here. Still connecting to audio. Here we go with Dimmer. Dimmer, can you hear us?
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
Oh, not much, man.
Tough week one for the dogs. What's your initial thoughts?
Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers fucked me over. I can say that.
Tunyon too.
Tunyon, Mike Evans, everyone did shitty, but I mean, Rodgers is expected to be going off this week, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to that. Am I in view right now?
No, I think you gotta turn your camera on.
All right, hold on. Where's D Brown?
D Brown is now a return guest host.
There he is.
What's up, boys?
So Dim, I mentioned this earlier, but with all the hate that was going into week one, are the dogs who we thought they were? Like there was a lot of slander said to your name, and then you kind of throw up a dud. Like, what do you got to say about that?
I mean, my team definitely struggled, but I had a decent draft. I know everyone was shitting on it, but draft wasn't as bad as everyone thinks. I mean, I got 2 guys that had over 1,000 yards last year. Got Antonio Gibson, Eckler. Rodgers just fucking threw up a dud, but I mean, I think we're going to turn it around. I'm going to make some trades too. I've been talking with some people, but haven't had anything go through yet, but we're definitely going to figure it out. I mean, we got, obviously, even you said in the last podcast, the Dim Dogs have potential. I mean, we're going to figure it out, but right now we're struggling a little bit.
I will say one big positive on your bench was Myles Gaskin. He looked pretty good. Obviously, like low scoring game there, but I thought he was looking like a solid third, fourth RB.
Yeah, he was looking decent. I mean, he doesn't really carry the ball that often. That's a problem. They got Malcolm Brown. I don't know who the other guy is that they picked up, but I don't know. I gotta just figure out who to throw out there. Obviously, Gronk had 25, and then Tanyan had 1. And then Rodgers had 1, so that fucked me. But, I mean, Sheehan's team went the fuck off, so nothing I can really do about that. He got highest weekly score, didn't he?
I think Kurtz beat him out.
Oh, yeah.
Kurtz beat him by like 1 or 2, yeah.
But still, yeah, I think 132, so that would have been tough to beat anyway. But, yeah, 66 points definitely is embarrassing. I can say that.
Oh, wow. Kirch beat him by 0.14.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that.
That was tight. Wow.
Damn.
So dog,
Any,
Dan, what's missing on the dogs right now? What needs to change heading into week 2? Obviously, Rodgers against Detroit, like that's a juicy matchup. But
Yeah.
is there fear that Evans may be the third fiddle down in Tampa Bay?
Hold on, this fucking lady's calling me. I decline it. It's for fucking work related. I just got to put the right lineup out there. I had guys on my bench that all had over 10 points. I didn't look exactly and see how many there were, but obviously Judy got hurt. But yeah, I just got to put the right guys out there. And Rodgers just can't throw up a dud like that. But other than that, you got to make my pickups. I picked up Mike Williams, which he gets hurt a lot, which I'm kind of nervous about. But
Dimmer, we got some quotes heard
I like
from
that
around
pickup.
Yeah, I do like that pickup, but we got some quotes heard from around the league. Wanted some thoughts on them. We're gonna start off with our ex-co-host. D Brown he said, "You're gonna have to start paying me more to do this shit," as a Paradise Valley podcast host. What do you think of that?
oh, he said that today?
Yeah, supposedly rumors are. We also had Grove saying he actually has $100 against his team to make the playoffs in Vegas. So Ross's statement on last Paradise Valley podcast was a nice hedge for him.
Oh, okay. Well, what's going on with D Brown? Why doesn't he want to be on the podcast anymore?
Nah, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that about the money, but it was time related more than compensation, because we all know we're getting paid the big bucks to be here. So
yeah, I wish I could join you guys every week and do the podcast so I can get paid the big bucks, but I'll just sit here and put my lineup together.
So, Dim, I'd like to bring up a quote from D Brown on the last podcast. He said, coming out of the draft, it's basically an 8-team league with the dogs and Lane being basically out of it. Any follow-up statement to that?
I think everyone was saying that over on the podcast. I listened to it on Monday because I didn't get a chance to listen to it before that. But I mean, it's not an 8-team league. My team's gonna figure it out. I got an MVP. I got guys who get a ton of yards. I mean, Evans had 13 touchdowns last year. Anytime I offer him to somebody, though, no one wants him.
it is
and then I
tough
got Allen
with
Robinson.
week 1 trading.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out for this year. My draft didn't go exactly how I wanted. Everybody that I was looking at, they would just get picked right away. Obviously, you just got to adjust to that point. But I mean, I just got to figure out.
Would have had an effect on that?
I don't think so. I mean, I would have loved to come.
Drinking some beers with the boys would have been electric, but we missed you.
C-Mac wouldn't have talked as much as he did if I was there. He would have been too scared to.
C-Mac
saying that I'm
had a
going to be
lot
wearing
to
the clown
say.
suit. Yeah, of course he did. Just C-Mac being a clown. I mean, what can I say?
Some say I drafted Hurts because I had Lane sitting next to me saying he was going to take him.
I mean, I don't let people around me affect my draft anyway. So I didn't. The only thing I regret, obviously, with the Tanyan pick, but I had Rodgers, so that's the main reason why I took him where I did. But then I picked up Gronk before the week started, and then he ended up with 25. So I think he was 6 for 6 on his catches. So I'm looking forward to him continuing that. But I have Evans and him right now. So, I mean, anybody listening out there, they want Mike Evans or they want Gronk. Anybody on my team is really available at this point.
I'll talk Evans for sure.
All right.
Obviously next week.
Chat after the pod.
We got a battle this week. I'm not going to be trading with the enemy.
Very true. But I mean, Rodgers just has to pick it up. Obviously, he's got the Lions, and then I got some good matchups. I got Gronk and Evans going against the Falcons, which is good. I got good matchups this week, so it's going to be a lot closer. I'm not getting 66 this week. I can tell you that. Rodgers isn't throwing up a 1.32 again.
What team were you most impressed with this week? Like, just looking around the valley, like, oh shit, that's going to be a contender right there.
Definitely Sheehan. I mean, I don't think Lockett's going to have weeks like that. I even said that in the group chat. I don't think he's going to – I had him last year, and he would have weeks where he had 2 touchdowns and a ton of yards, and the next week he'd have 3 catches, 30 yards. So, I mean, if he's expecting that every week, then that's what I expected last year, and I had to put him on my bench a couple times because he just wouldn't throw up the numbers every week, and he wasn't as consistent. But, I mean, Sheehan's team went the fuck off, and he had – who does he have on his team? Cook? I can't remember everybody on his team. I was kind of just watching it as it went, but I mean, his team went off, and Kirk always has a good team. Yeah, Aaron Jones. Yep. And And he's got Russell Wilson. I had him last year too, or not last. No, I didn't have him last year. I had 2 years ago. But I don't know. Sheehan's team definitely was a little bit surprising. I thought it was gonna be a lot closer than it was. And Kirch always puts up numbers anyway, so I wasn't surprised by that.
Agreed. Yeah, top 2 scorers there. I think clearly week 1 we're all kind of assessing our teams, a lot to look at, been a lot to see like what's going to be just a random week 1 thing and what's going to actually hold throughout the season. So thanks for joining us, Show Dim, and we'll see how the rest of the season rolls out. Anyone else you want to call out or any last words here?
No, I mean, we're looking forward to the Cobras. We're gonna do everything we can to put you in your place. I know you're looking at it as a bye week like Sheehan did, but I'm throwing up
That
numbers
is not
this week.
true.
Hey,
The
man,
Dogs
I
have
mean,
good matchups this week. Hate that it's coming down to Rodgers against Detroit, coming off a shit game at home. I could see 30 out of him. So we're gonna need a lead going into Monday. But I mean, the Dogs aren't as bad as I think. Projections are pretty close, but in my mind, this is a game at the end of the season. Looking back at the schedule, we need a W.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I for sure need to put up numbers this week, especially with, even if I want to win, obviously, but I need to get my points for way up because it's 66 right now. It's a 132 just towards the end of the season. But I mean, I don't know. Rodgers is going to have a better week. I can already see it right now, and it's going to be close. I can see it being close. And one thing I have to say is C-Mac's a clown for calling me out, and he won't say it to my face. And I love taking Tucker in that spot because I knew he was going to take him. And then he's going to try to trade for him, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to offer Tucker for his best player right after this and see what he says.
I think we can all agree C-Mac's a clown.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Everyone's going to be going after C-Mac this year. That is for sure.
Yeah, giant fucking head. I mean, what are you going to do? Giant head, not that many brains in there. It's a lot of air.
Oh,
Shots fired. All right, Dimmer, on
Other-
that note, we're going to send you out. Appreciate you joining, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
good
Best of luck
luck,
to you
man.
boys, and fuck the Cobras.
Peace
Hey,
down.
All right, peace, boys.
peace.
man.
Good stuff from Dimmer. All right. Key matchups going into week 2. I feel like we've hit on some of these, so we'll kind of jump over them pretty quickly here. But
I didn't put
Oh,
them
you-
all in there. I just
you
figured
didn't
guys
you
were
didn't put
gonna
them.
talk
Yeah,
about a couple.
yeah, no worries.
I got a
Sounds good.
few up. I'll hop into it. And this is the
Sounds
one
good.
that's most intriguing for me. It's co-host C Hall, Bloody Sundays against the Sandman. I feel like both teams don't want to start 0-2 there. Obviously, Sandman coming off of what he came off of last week. The Sundays coming off an absolute heartbreaking out. I feel like both teams are going to be motivated. And I will say, let me pull up the matchup and just get some previews going. I know Cowboys are playing LA. Does Zeke bounce back at all? I think I'm pretty happy with the Clyde or the Mixon over Clyde pick. It just feels like they never like to run the ball, especially close to the goal line. Scary Terry with a backup. Don't love that. Juju's in there. I mean, I definitely got to give the nod to the commish right now. I think JT probably finds the end zone this week. Kamara probably plays four quarters. And Darrell Henderson was actually like a big come up for the Sundays because I think Sony played like 4 or 5 snaps. So he's clearly the guy there. That's 3 number ones. I got to go. Mahomes looked good. Sunday Night Football too. Yeah, the Baltimore's D is good, but it's Mahomes. I got to give the edge to the commish. And to be honest, I can see the panic button getting slammed if Sandman loses this game because the Valley's going to keep going after him. He's just such a likable target to go after, especially with the shit he says and then keeping Odell in. I can see panic button getting smashed, a big trade happening, and Sandman slowly slipping into the basement. So it's a must. It's not a must win, but I think both teams need the win, and I just don't see Sandman doing it this week.
Yeah, I mean, I like my team a lot. It's just you got to show up in the matchups, and being 0-2 after falling both Jam Rosses would be real tough. So I'll call it a must win. Let's jump to Kirch's matchup. Let's do D Brown and Sheehan. This
It is
a
juicy.
big matchup.
Just quickly before you get into it, I'm looking at all the matchups. There's 2 0-1 matchups, 2 1-0 matchups, and then Dim and I, which is 1-0 versus 0-1. So 2 teams are going to be 2-0, 2 teams are going to be 0-2, and there's a chance that there's 2-0, and 3-0-2, and so that's some juiciness. Let's see who separates from the pack early on.
Yeah. So looking at D Brown's matchup, if you want to jump back up.
Oh yeah.
So this is one of the 1-0s here, and Sheehan's team I like a lot. Like looking at those 2 running backs, and if those 2 wide receivers can be pretty consistent, he's got a nice player in Kittle there. Chase looked good, so he doesn't have to rely on Kenny G. Decent depth there on the bench. So I like Sheehan's team, and D Brown, obviously CMC is a stud, but I'm not sure if it's quite as deep. So this could be a big game, big matchup for Sheehan to get to 2-0 and really establish himself as a top perennial Paradise Valley player, which he hasn't been for a while. But this is a big matchup for him. But I'm going to go ahead and take D Brown. I like Damian Harris a lot. I think it's a big bounce back game for him. I think the McCaffrey's going to go for 30 against the Saints. I don't think the Saints are as nearly as good as I think they're good. I don't think they're nearly as good as they played. I think that'll be a pretty good game. CD Lamb, I like a lot. Pitts, I think someone's got to score and do something in that offense. So I think he'll be able to hold it together. I don't know. I've got a feeling about D Brown here. We'll see if he sticks with James Robinson there in the flex. But
yeah, I'm not loving J Rob. I like the bold pick. You know, looking at the projections, I feel like this has got to be the biggest spread heading into week 2, and I don't really see it happening. I do see Harris having a big game. I do see CMC, but I can just see Jones going into Monday night down 20, and I'm just pounding the Lions and him doing those breakout runs and just breaking D Brown's heart. So I give the slight edge to Sheehan, but we'll see what D Brown's made of in a big 1-0 matchup.
Let's do one more matchup each, Ross. If you
I
want.
didn't realize Sheehan was running 3 QBs deep.
Oh, the funniest thing of the morning, I go to the waiver wire, go to recent activity, and it's Sheehan picked up Stafford 2 minutes later, likely to trade Stafford. It's like, okay, Sheehan, if someone wanted him, they would have picked him up. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to trade for him now. Kirch also has 3 QBs. This is classic Kirch, though. If you go check out his team,
matchup, yeah.
Yeah, we can just go to that matchup. If you look at his bench, he's got 3 guys up top. Sermon, who's down big, but Gordon and Fant are pretty good subs. And then it's just like Tannehill, Winston, the Dolphins D. Like, why is he keeping that? And then Elijah Moore. There's just not much there. So I feel like I see this every single year where Kirch puts together a stellar starting lineup, and then there's just not much after that, and injuries come. And he is a good trader. We'll see what he can do, but I'm not happy with what my bench is looking like right now, but I think that's got to be the worst bench in the league.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. With some holes in that team, even though they were the highest score. This will be an interesting one, though. Is again to see if 1-0 is here to see can Lane establish himself. Projections looking good at 115. You look at some of the matchups. I mean, we'll see how Swift can do, but like you said, looked pretty good last week. Hunt against Houston, love that matchup. Devontae bouncing back. Kelsey's a beast. Like, I could see this being a pretty high scoring matchup and Lane surprising to go to 2-0. I'd be Lane and Sheehan at 2-0. That'd be something.
Oh yeah. My biggest question is Big Ben. Like, what's Lane's hate with Stafford? I just Big Ben just doesn't. I get Vegas didn't look too good defensively, but I don't know. I just feel like there's better options out there in the wire than Big Fat Ben.
Who are the Rams playing this week?
Caleb should know.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I have a bunch of.
Go back to Shannon.
I can see it.
Indianapolis.
I mean, I guess that's a good D.
Yeah, but Russ torched them, so we'll see.
It's another good 1-0 matchup. All right, let's jump to.
Let's just do the last one, right? The Celtics Spartans versus Ness. I can do this one. I think the whole league's probably put in their support in the Spartans there. Love to see the Ness start 0-2. Najee scares me, but his projections are crazy. I was looking for some over/under picks, and he was at 17. It's like, what is this guy showing? I guess like I said, it's the 100% snap share. Let's see with the DAP. I feel like Henry's due to bounce back a little bit. Chubb's doing Chubb. Chubb's doing Chubb, where he's still like almost splitting carries with Hunt, but still putting up numbers. We'll see if the Chargers connection can get going for DAP and he can get a little double dip on some TDs there. I think the Nappers or the Spartans pull it out. But
That's weird saying the Spartans.
I know. I wanna say the Spartans, but I just gotta brain over heart go with the Nest with a slight edge. I liked what I saw out of Tyson Williams. I don't think C-Mac ever makes that pick if he's not a Ravens fan, but he did, and just classic C-Mac there. D-Hop looked like a top 1 of 1 wide out in the league, and it seems like that Kyler versus Hopkins matchup going against Minnesota after what Joey B just did to them. So, and also Diggs and Allen, another double dip situation. They looked pretty bad, both of them, week 1. You got to feel like they bounced back a little bit, but Xavier Howard could put a damper on that. But I got to give the slight edge to the Nest, but I'll be rooting for the Spartans.
Yeah. That's a good point on Josh Allen and Diggs.
We're going to need that Dallas D to keep up the shitty secondary this weekend. Hopefully tear them up.
All right, let's jump into over-unders. Before we get into these picks, when the boys went 0-6 last week, so tough start. Start.
Very tough, and not even close. Like D had Ayuk, who put up 0. I had Montgomery under, and I think he hit that in like the first half. It was a tough showing for the boys. This is my pick. It's a little bit homer to the matchup, but 15.7 feels like a lot heading in with Heineke. You could say, yeah, he's going to get a lot of touches, but the G-Men's going to be prepared for a run-heavy scheme. I can see this being maybe the worst Thursday night football game of the year, like a 17-14 finish. Yeah, like I can see it being ugly, and I just don't see Antonio getting to 16 fantasy points. I can see him getting into the low double digits, but I don't know. I think the Giants are going to be scheming for a run-heavy approach from Washington, and pretty good D there, so I expect them to show up and stop Gibson.
Let's see what Heineke has. He looked pretty good for the Bucs last year, or against the Bucs last year in the playoffs. All right. We're doing unders first, switching it up. So Miles Sanders for me, 13-3. I think obviously Swift and Jamal Williams looked pretty good last week against the Niners, but game script, they were just trying to come back. So I think the Eagles look decent. I think this will be a more low-scoring game. I'm not sure. I think Sanders has to fall into the end zone here to get this. So I had a tough time picking out my under, honestly. Going to go with Miles Sanders, though. I like Gainwell, too. Obviously picked him up. He looked pretty decent.
He looked good.
He was in the red zone. Yeah, he was in the red zone. Scored twice. One of them got called back, but he gets some red zone looks. I'll go with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, this is me. I think I touched on this pickup again. I think Shanahan rides the hot hand. They're a run-heavy team to begin with. I think whatever Sermon's done, whether it be just not perform in practice or be a little lazy, thinking that he was going to be Sermon was drafted in the 3rd round. This guy was drafted in the 6th, but it seems like he's jumped him on the depth chart. And I think he gets fed again. I think it'll be one of those early season darlings that maybe dwindles out at the end of the year, but I think he finds the end zone a couple times for the San Fran Niners this week.
I like that. My over, I am going Devontae Adams. He's not at 11.5. I wish.
I was going to say that projection.
Oh yeah, he's at 15. I think it just copied over from this whole thing just copied over from the last slide.
Yeah, all good. He's at 15.
And they're playing the Lions.
And they're playing the Lions. I think that's a huge bounce back game. And Rodgers is going to go where he knows, and that is Devontae Adams. I'm thinking at least 8 catches for 100 yards. And I don't see him not scoring a touchdown. I might have to hit that prop, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, it just sounds so fucking good. But I got to get a win here, and Devontae's going to give it to me. Even if Miles doesn't, I know Devontae will. This is a lock.
Ironic after all the shitting on that you guys did on Lane last week. You both picked his players for overs.
Hell yeah, Lane. Ride who's hot, baby. Ride who's hot.
Let's go, Tears.
All right, good stuff. Down one this week, but we're going to keep it rolling. I like it, boys. Feels good to be back, getting in the flow of it here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was great. Just the full Sunday, like 1 o'clock, you're so happy. 7 o'clock, the scary set in. And then here I was trying to go to bed early on a Sunday night. I was tired. And then all of a sudden my heart's racing and we have a crazy finish. Like fantasy football is back and I love it. It's best time of the year and big week too. You don't want to, if you're 0-1, you don't want to start 0-2. And if you're 1-0, you want to keep the momentum going and get as many wins as possible early in the season until some injuries and buys start kicking in.
Yeah, your season can, the fate can come in pretty quickly here if things go one way or the other. So it's huge weeks here, formative weeks, and excited to keep it rolling starting tomorrow night.
There you go. Go
All right,
G-Man.
boys. We'll talk to you next week.
See you, boys.